Nineball, you act like you know so much about Diablo. But if I asked you about Diablo, you'd probably give me the skinny on every demon he's ever controlled. Mephisto, you know a lot about him. His place amongst the demons, accomplishments, how he died, the whole works, right? But I bet you can't tell me what it smells like in the durance of hate. If I asked you about demons, you'd probably give me a syllabus about your personal favorites. You may have even slain one or two a few times. But you can't tell me what it feels like to stay up for 36 hours straight, grinding the same room over and over again, and feel truly happy and tired. And I'd asked you about the Sin War. You'd probably throw the burning hells and high heavens at me, but you've never been near one. You've never held your best friend's head in your lap and watched him grasp his last breath, looking to you for help. I look at you, Nineball. I don't see a hardcore super gamer. I see a nerdy, lore-loving kid. But you're a genius, Nineball. No one denies that. No one could possibly understand the depths of you. But you presume to know everything about Diablo, because you play on hardcore. And that's what I truly think about Nineball.
There we go. It's out there.
And
I feel it's out. It's in the open now.
Yes, and let's see if chat guessed the monologue that was the movie that monologue was from.
Oh, I finally see it.
My Little Pony. There it is.
My Little Pony.
You got it. No, of course that was from Good Will Hunting. A small tribute from us to Robin Williams.
Yeah, such sad news. You know, is it kind of telling the week that we took off the podcast and then Robin Williams dies?
Everything goes wrong as soon as we can never do that again, Nineball.
We can never ever take a week off again.
Maybe maybe a show every night just to make sure. That would probably solve the crisis in the Middle East too if we were just here every night.
No, I don't want to brag or anything.
I think that's I don't know if you've been on Netflix, but like I've been watching a lot of Robin Williams movies this week, and if you guys have been on Netflix, you've probably seen like half of the most popular movies right now are Robin Williams movies on Netflix.
I have not. I don't have Netflix, but I have been wanting to go back through my collection of movies. Though we've been pretty busy. We've been moving or getting ready to move. We have to be out by this Saturday. So last week was kind of a breather for the both of us, and almost finished. The stuff that you see behind me is actually like one of the only things not in boxes at the moment. I specifically kept that out for you all.
It's all a facade.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this on iTunes, well, I did it for you too. You just unfortunately can't appreciate it. I'm sorry.
Just close your eyes and picture a bunch of naked mannequins wearing fedoras. That's pretty much what Nineball's house looks like every episode.
You don't gotta ruin it. Spoilers, God, bro.
Yeah, that's not gonna be the same when you watch us live the first time. Sorry.
Yep. But yeah, truly something special has been lost, and I will miss him. I'll definitely miss him.
Yeah. Oh well. Well, this week in gaming, I know you've been these 2 weeks in gaming, I suppose. I know we've both been pretty busy.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been spending a lot of the time packing up, getting ready for a move and such. So, not had a lot of time outside of that for games. Unfortunately, I have tried to keep up on Naxxramas. I kind of in my free time this weekend, I did all the little Hearthstone Naxxramas things just to catch up for this week. And the new Frostwing came out last night or midnight, something along those lines. That was kind of fun. And then occasionally hopping on Heroes and just kind of frothing at the bit for patch 2.1 as well as Destiny, which now are looking like to come out in the same week and be like, oh god damn it, no time for anything.
Decisions.
What about you? What has your last 2 weeks been like?
Well, I had a little bit of moving in my weeks as well. My brothers, some people know my older brother Dreadnought because he streamed. It's not his real name, but that's how people know him. And him and my little brother moved to Reno, so I drove up there, moved with them. Both got some moving in, but I'm hopefully.
How far away is Rio from you?
Rio is very far away, but Reno is only an 8-hour drive. I wish I'd gone to
Only
Rio.
an 8-hour drive.
Yeah.
That's still quite a bit. You just drive 8 hours to help somebody move. That's some. You must love your brother.
Well, yeah, I did want to. I just wanted to see their apartment and where they lived and stuff, and I like to help out. So do what I can. But
you want to take a trip to Florida?
not that bad. That's a bit more of a drive, I guess. I don't know.
Ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Ever so slightly.
But of course my sister lives there, so I'll have to stop by sometime. Anyways, back to Diablo stuff. I hopefully am nearing the end of my Diablo strike. As I've told you guys, I've been taking a break from Diablo because I want to be like just super into it when it comes out. I just want to be ready to go full blast with seasons, and I've been ready. But we got some news, and I hate to jump ahead, but just teaser. We got some news. We might be getting, or we almost definitely will be getting, the patch next week.
That's what they said at one of the interviews that they did at Gamescom. They said, within the next few weeks, and then went through and said, oh, by the end of this month, August. And so that really only leaves them, since it didn't come out yesterday, that's really only next week.
Got one Tuesday left.
One Tuesday left.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time Blizzard was wrong if it doesn't come out, but I'm counting on it.
I hope so.
I'm ready for it.
I definitely hope so.
I've been playing some World of Warcraft, but I'm ready to get back into Diablo roots.
Yeah, and speaking of getting back into Diablo, of course, one of the big things in the news is just happened yesterday is the Ultimate Evil Edition came out for the consoles.
What?
And that has actually gotten a lot of positive praise, especially after everyone, so many years of blame it on the consoles. Consoles ruined Diablo 3, and I've heard nothing but great things from everyone that's picked up the game so far. And it's got a lot of positive reviews, both obviously from the press. Take that what you will from gaming journalism as a whole, but just the players themselves and people that you interact with in the communities. It's been nothing but great stories so far. They're loving the game. They're loving the features. People are even have been impressed with just the level of detail that they're able to put into like the PS3 and the Xbox 360 versions, not just the PS4 and the Xbox One. So wow. It seems to be that's the big craze right now, and everyone's kind of getting a huge burst of excitement playing the console version, as opposed to patch 2.1, which I guess jumping over to the next segment, I'll let Archon talk eventually, is last week they announced or confirmed patch support for the console versions, but only for the PS4 and the Xbox One. So you will see patch 2.1 coming to the next gen or new gen, whatever they're calling it these days, consoles.
Yeah. So, and they say in the future they want to eventually make it so the patches come out at the same time even. So it's just like, oh, a new patch is coming out, and everyone gets it that day. I guess we don't know when 2.1 is coming to the console yet, right?
No, they have not said how long it's going to be, between the PC launch and the console launch. But it is something that they are working on, and I want to say that they probably were wanting to do this for a while beforehand, and it just took them a while to announce it, but it's a recent decision. It's like we should probably go and do this, and so it might be a month or two before we see the patch actually come out for the consoles itself.
Yeah, it makes sense. And for anyone who is thinking about getting Ultimate Evil Edition, if you haven't played Diablo on console yet, do it. Like, it feels so good on console. I'm a PC gamer, and so maybe it feels a little bit better on PC for me, but not much. Like, if I was a console gamer, I'd say it feels way better on that. It just feels like it's meant for it. And then, of course, the Ultimate Evil Edition, there's a lot of new features coming out. But I was pleasantly surprised when I tried it for the first time on console.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a lot of things that you can do. Obviously the targeting, the hitbox system has changed significantly for the consoles. It was a really huge debate early in the life of D3. But, when an enemy starts the attack animation, you've been hit. Even if you run outside of their attack range, you'll get hit by it. So if you run through a pack of zombies, you're going to get hit no matter how quickly you run through, because as soon as they start that animation, it's going to hit, even if you're 3 screens away, through teleport or something along those lines. But on the console, it doesn't do that. The actual frame that the computer registers the hit against you is when the attack completes instead of when the attack begins. And that also allows them to put in the feature where you can do the dodge rolls, so you can avoid hits by trying to get away a little bit quicker. You can still be hit while dodging, but if you move out of the attack range while the animation is going through, you won't get hit. There's some little interesting things that they changed, and just having the dual analog set up for the attack and movement allows you to move in one direction and shoot in the other, which you can't do with just the mouse input on the PC.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like an action game meant for the console.
Yeah, I've not played it outside of BlizzCon, but when I did, I have to say it was impressive, and I've been wanting to go through and pick it up. But right now, we sold our TV because we got a new TV, but it's still in a box, because it was like, well, we can unpack it to repack it in a few days, or we can just let it sit there. So currently without any way to play it, even if I did pick it up.
There you go. I think the one criticism I could give to the console version of the game is the menus can be quite annoying when you're playing with friends. I mean, I don't know of a better way they could do it, but just be prepared. If you play with 3 friends on a couch, you're going to spend a lot of time looking at your friend's character. Because, one person looking at the menu screen takes up the whole screen. You got to take some time, but it's not too bad to have some downtime in between killing a bunch of demons.
And is that only if you're playing locally? Like if you're playing online, it doesn't do that?
Correct, yeah. Online, you all get your own menu, and one person can go to town while the other one keep questing, but if you're playing on a couch together in the same room, you got to stay together and wait for each other.
A valid concern.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that really is the biggest news, and what all the big comments are. There's some other little things out there with the console release that we're kind of learning, like little details about, just like obviously the game itself was made first for the PS4 and then kind of ported over to the other systems from there. And the Xbox One version was actually going to get a slightly inferior version because it was only going to be rendered, I think, at like 900p, or I don't even know if that's
720 maybe.
720. It was a weird number. It wasn't 720. It was a weird number. And this one, you didn't really see much posts about it. It was just Josh Musquare tweeted it, I think even just a few days ago, but he confirmed that Microsoft put a lot of pressure on them to make sure that they released it in the 1080p format for the Xbox One to compete with the PS4 version, which is what it should be in the first place, because whether you're a PlayStation player or an Xbox player, if you're going and making a game for all the consoles, you want everyone to have kind of a unified experience and not really show too much preference towards one or the other in things. Like if you're doing just like little stuff like the Shadow of the Colossus armor set and some of the little individual goodies for the PlayStation version, that's fine. But something overarching like the actual resolution of the screen, or it'd be like taking out you can only play 3 players in the Xbox version. It just doesn't sit right. Doesn't really sit right.
Yeah, so good that they're getting that as well. Something else that we learned this week. If you guys haven't heard, there's a feature called Apprentice mode in the console version. Which helps you play with your friend. If your friend is lower level, they can play with you, and their character is kind of boosted to your level while you're playing. So you can play together regardless of your level. But the question was, does that work on hardcore mode? And we got a blue post this last week that said, no, sorry, hardcore people, you gotta do it the hard way.
Yep, everything is hard in hardcore. So the Apprentice mode does not work in hardcore version of the console. That's actually, the Apprentice mode would be something really cool that they could add into the PC version.
Yeah.
Just so that way if you get a new friend that might be coming back to the game, or they never purchased Reaper of Souls, and then finally all the hype around 2.1 and the positive press coming from the Ultimate Evil Edition, they're finally going to break down and be like, okay, I'll give it another chance, and that way you can go through and get them and use that Apprentice mode you can go and help them out, because you probably aren't going to have any level 60 characters to level up with them. If they're starting from D3 Classic, it's a little bit easier to go through and just roll level 1 if they're starting brand new. But if they have something in between, that makes it a little bit more difficult to help out.
Yeah, and they've done this to kind of use the console as an experiment for the PC and vice versa, and have hinted that some of these features from the console will probably make it into the PC version as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, like a lot of the things like the increased drop chance, the buffed items, the smart drop system, even the new difficulties that we have that were the normal through Torment 6 that replaced the monster power. That was all tested on the console first, and it ended up working out well, and so it got kicked back to the PC. So we might see something like the Apprentice system or the Nemesis system. Maybe I don't see player mail because there's no trading at all in the console version. So we'll have to see about that, or not the console, the PC version. I don't know. Did they take away trading in the console version as well?
I don't know if there's direct player-to-player trading, but you can mail stuff to your friends. So I don't see why not. They definitely don't care that nearly as much on the console about allowing players to give their friends advantages, and I mean, even hacking can be done pretty easily on console if you're playing on your own save file, and so I don't think they're as concerned about protecting the economy.
Yeah, by and far. I don't know if anyone remembers when the original console version came out, people were posting pictures of 3000 DPS Azure rafts with 3 sockets.
Yeah.
So it's like something that would even be a really good item in Reaper of Souls, people were running around at level 60 with, and then of course having 3 sockets and over like almost 400% critical hit damage on their single weapon. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I think I got even more ridiculous than that with some like 5-digit weapon damage numbers I saw posted online.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty ridiculous. Let's see what else. We got a new patch this week. And I say this week, I mean this last 2 weeks. It was just over a week ago. The
13th, so almost exactly a week ago.
Yeah. So, but it was a really minor patch, just tweaks. Which is usually what we get right before PTR is over. Just some finishing touches. But it looked like the highlight of the patch, and this kind of corresponds to the blue post we just got, is that healing got increased. Pretty much any skill that healed was at least doubled, if not tripled or quadrupled.
Yeah, because this is going in line with them wanting to make the changes. They wanted to make some sweeping changes with how the skill scalers worked with life on hit, so that way it activated just once. So every time that you attacked, you got that amount of healing, regardless of how many enemies you hit. So that way they could track it better. So they know where do we need to adjust it, where are classes feeling weaker, are these skills actually giving the same amount of healing, because it's a lot harder to balance something. Well, we have to tone this one down to only 50% healing, because if they're attacking 20 mobs it's overpowered, but if you're only attacking 5 then you feel gimped. With this one it's just easy to track straight across the board.
Yeah.
Which going into that, the blue post that we just got from Nevlistis that you mentioned is a lot of what patch 2.1 is, if you want to expand on that further.
Yeah, so that blue post just came out today. As history will show, important information always comes out on the day of Westmarch Workshop. And pretty much just kind of outlined the point of 2.1, their main goals, what they're trying to do, what they're not trying to do, and yeah, one of the big things that they wanted to improve upon was the healing. Of course, they kind of nerfed healing with the initial change. Now they're trying to get it in line so that players will actually put healing on their gear, that you'll actually choose to use life on hit over some other stat, any other stat. But overall, it seemed like the main purpose of 2.1 is to get classes in line with each other, so that all classes are somewhat balanced to the other classes. It's never going to be perfect, but that you can play any class and still get to about the same level of greater rift. And yeah, one of the really interesting thing she said was that the greater rifts were kind of a tool to use as a metric for deciding which classes are overpowered or underpowered.
Yeah, because before there wasn't really anything that you could show to say that, well, these classes are balanced. You know, they're relatively balanced to one another, because even like a 5% difference in the amount of damage that you did, like towards the end of Classic or even now, is huge. That could easily be millions of damage, which will make clear times of Torment 6, you know, off by huge amounts, because it means that you can kill an enemy. You might be able to kill an enemy in 2 attacks instead of 3, just by that little extra bit of damage, which greatly increases your clear time, because you're spending a lot less time killing the little individual white mobs as you go through your rifts. And the greater rifts are just basically saying, hey, we now have something that we can track. This is a perfect tool for us to go and say, this class is able to get to greater rift 39, but then this one can only get to 32. We need to buff that one. This class can get to 39 using this build, but any other skills they try to use, they can only get to 27. So obviously there's other things that they need to be improved, you know, to make the class more balanced. So that, because they did want to try and increase build diversity through patch 2.1 as well.
Yeah, you know, I hadn't really thought about that, but it seems like maybe that was even an incentive of theirs to not let you change skills during the Greater Rift, because it allows them to get that data and see the exact build you were using throughout the rifts. You know, since you can't change your skills during. And they also touched that they wanted to increase elemental diversity, so there's not just the go-to element, you know, so all demon hunters aren't fire, and well, everyone's fire and before 2.1, right? So the people are using something other than fire. Yeah, they wanted to change that, especially, you know, poison for demon hunters and cold for crusaders weren't really go-to builds, and so they're pretty much just nixing those and focusing more on the ones that are imbalanced.
There's been some really nice builds for demon hunters with cold elemental damage lately.
Yeah.
It's some of them have been using some cold skills in line with fire skills, and just kind of completely forgetting Mage Fist and Cinder Coat, and just using Taskers or Hexing Pants in order to do the 6-piece Marauder builds. So there's definitely been seeing some elemental diversity for demon hunters because of these changes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Why keep fire builds on there? Why not go all cold?
I think it's a couple of the cold skills are just kind of for a little bit of crowd control, and just because the skill itself is amazing, but then you still have to compete with
Cluster arrow?
Cluster arrow. I just had a brain fart there. Very sorry, but cluster arrow loaded for bear is still just one of the most damaging skills, both for multi-target and single target. When you have a lot of things on the screen, the multi-shot on the sentry turrets, can surpass it. But it pretty much on a single target, besides the sentry damage itself, nothing can compare with cluster arrow.
Yeah, it's a shame. I wonder why they're afraid. Well, I guess I can guess why they're afraid to nerf it, but hopefully they can get those in line so that cluster arrow is not just the go-to skill.
Yeah, and one thing that I would think, and something that we talked about, I don't know if it was, it's been 2 weeks, so everything is kind of running together, whether it was in episode 19 or was it 18 or even 17 or maybe 11, whatever. It was, we talked about elemental damage and how, it's great, but it kills build diversity, because there's always going to be one that's like just better than the other was, and everything goes towards it. I really wish that they would, do something else to get, to try and say, here, use this element, and just axe plus elemental damage completely. Maybe, obviously, it won't work in the middle of Reaper, but maybe for the next expansion, they can just remove it. Kind of like how they gutted a lot of the stats going into Reaper to try and give you other alternatives.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there, and I do think that having to fixate on a single damage type does limit your choices. But there's something awesome about your gear being really specialized to your build. So I hope if they do get rid of plus the elemental type, they'll add something on there, because I feel like the gear in Reaper of Souls is kind of takes the place of the talent tree in Diablo 2, or the skill tree rather. Been playing too much World of Warcraft, but the skill tree in Diablo 2, give your character that sense of permanence. And while by no means is it permanent in Reaper of Souls, we still have that, something about your character that's unique because of your time investment. But yeah, we are. I mean, right now it is choose one damage type. That's your one damage type from now on.
Yeah. Because you kind of gimp yourself if you're not taking use of that skill, because it's one of the biggest damage increases for your character, which means a lot in the higher greater rifts, because you run into enemies with like billions of hit points.
True story. Well, sorry, you go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I was just
seem to have something good.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a lot of what they wanted to go through and address in 2.1. It was just, wrapping that one up is they just wanted to bring the classes more in line with one another, both buffing things that were lagging, like monks, and they also wanted to kind of curtail the other extremes, such as the furnace in Rimeheart, which isn't exactly a class balance issue, more of just an item balance issue, but to kind of bring everything into a little easier to manage window of what they have for the balance, and get everyone within the same general area. And the way that they would measure that is through the Greater Rift system. And they also wanted to try and address some class diversity and normalize healing, so that way, which ties back into the class balance. By normalizing healing, you address some of the other issues that were, particularly that monks were facing, is that they were very fragile. But by actually being able to monitor and control how much healing that you can gain over a certain amount of time, they can better make changes and tweaks, to their skills or their items and such, to make it so they don't feel as fragile.
Yeah. One thing that I found surprising through all these changes is it seems like this is the first time that the Witch Doctor is actually getting some love from the players. Like, usually everyone's complaining the Witch Doctor's horrible, and now it seems like the Witch Doctors are getting the least amount of complaints of all the classes.
Yeah, they've had, I guess they've had a couple ups and downs. They've always been a very interesting class. They were, in Classic, they were the least popular class across the board, but they were also like one of the most popular classes in the high-level hardcore, because they had very good damage output and extremely high survivability. It was very hard to die as a Witch Doctor in hardcore back in Classic, and that drew a lot of people to them, despite them being just not very popular, whether it was because of their particular skill set. A lot of people didn't like how funny they were, and that they were just kind of like a joke class, but they always had a good kit, and they've had some pretty decent build diversity. It's become a lot more focused now than it was at launch, because people are finding what's the best and what's the most efficient. But there's a little bit of diversity that still exists for Witch Doctors. I think they are in a rather good area.
No, definitely. Yeah, I love that they're focusing on letting you play a dot-based Witch Doctor or pet-based Witch Doctor. I think a lot of those old fantasies we had from D2 can come true for people in Reaper of Souls.
Yep, just putting all those walls of bone, up around the the entrance to the Throne of Destruction. It's like, nope, no bail kill for you. I steal all of it.
That's what Witch Doctors are missing now, I think.
Yep. But I think it was actually one of the other things that we got from one of the Gamescom interviews, is that they wanted to, one of the things on the table is they want to go back and kind of look at a wall of zombies. They're not happy with the skill, and it's something that they might want to address in the future, because no one uses wall of zombies in the game. The skill itself just kind of sucks. It's mediocre. It doesn't really do anything. It's not impressive in any way, shape, or form. And then you go and look at wall of zombies and Heroes of the Storm, and the skill is freaking amazing. It's like that can make or break an entire team fight. And it's just like most useless skill, and then you take it and change it slightly to where you can wall off something with it, and it does respectable amounts of damage. It becomes most badass skill. So it's interesting things that they can do with it.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Well, speaking of Gamescom, we did have. Looks like Blizzard's been busy on the media trail, doing all kinds of interviews this week, huh? Yeah, we got a few small announcements from Gamescom. Maybe we've covered them all already, though, huh?
Yeah, if you want to just go and hit them up all real quick.
Yeah, I can't even remember. I don't have a list prepared here. I think we've gone over the big ones, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was going and talking about the console release, that the patch 2.1 is going to be coming out within the next few weeks or by the end of the month. But a lot of it did focus on the console version, because obviously it was a really big press thing. It was last week. The console version was coming out, so they had to do some press and publicity, and what better way to do it than going and doing it at a major games convention, like one of the largest ones in Europe, and I think has eclipsed everything else. Is like it's even larger than anything in the US. It's like the biggest games convention in the world, I think. Now
people in the US just don't play enough video games.
Yeah, we're getting shown up.
Yeah,
we can't allow that to happen.
It's happening. It's because Europe rubs up against Asia, and some of their gamey flakes, shoot off into Europe. We're just too far away. Mexico and Canada aren't doing much to bolster our gaming reputation.
And
blame Canada.
Also, but one of the most important things that we learned is that Josh Mosquera's favorite class to play is the Crusader.
Favoritism.
If you think that the Crusader is overpowered compared to the other classes, you now know why.
Just keep in mind that Jay Wilson played the Barbarian, and we all know how that turned out.
We all know how that turned out. He also said that he enjoys playing the Demon Hunter, which, obviously is not showing any bias whatsoever, but they are the greatest class in existence. Just saying.
Demon Hunter's gotten a lot of love since Josh Mosquera took over, so makes sense.
Yeah.
They used to be super skishy.
But while we're on the topic of developer interviews, I just want to go and throw it out there. We don't have anything with which to talk about it because obviously it hasn't happened yet, but tomorrow they are doing the Tavern Talk, where they're going and having Wyatt Chang, Don Vu, John Yang, and Nevelistus all sit down on Twitch and have kind of a live chat session with the fans. It's going to be 11 a.m. Pacific time, so that means it will be 2 o'clock Eastern and 7 o'clock Central, European Central, Universal Central, UCT, whatever the time zone is. I know it will be the time. I don't know the name of the time zone. Whatever. I'm rambling now. Sorry, but
CET, Central European Time.
Yep. So you can actually go through and send them questions now, even if you can't make the stream. You just want to tweet questions using the hashtag D3QA. And they'll pick some of the best ones to talk about on the stream, which is really kind of, this is a continuation of something that happened at last year's BlizzCon. There was a little event that later got called Story Time with Wyatt. They had a booth, it was the blue booth, where throughout the entire convention they had a bunch of developers scheduled to just man the booth, and you could just walk up and talk to them. Of course, Wyatt Chang was there during, I think, the second day to just talk with fans and answer questions, and it got a pretty huge crowd gathered around him to go and ask him questions. And his time ran out. He had to go and do a presentation on Diablo, but he promised he would be back, and then he came back and he talked for another 2 hours until the convention closed about the game, their insights into the design and such, and was just a really cool thing. And that kind of was a noticeable change, and they've been a lot more open ever since that event happened. And I know Lylera and Nevelistus constantly referred back to it as Story Time with Wyatt. And so it's cool seeing them continue that trend, and now we're actually getting something of that on Twitch, and I'd love to see them do this regularly, not just for promoting the patch, but maybe just a monthly or quarterly thing that they do. And this is where the game's at. This is what we intend for the next patch. Just talking about the game and where it's headed.
Yeah, it's always bittersweet, I think, because the fans get super excited that, oh my god, they're actually talking to us and they're going to tell us stuff about the game, and they're not going to be all closed off in their secret headquarters. And then of course they come out and they don't release any big announcements most of the time at these things, and players are disappointed. But, you know, just keep in mind, you can't have your cake and eat it too. They want to save the big announcements for conventions and other big dates. So this is going to be more like insight into the game, how the devs think. And they try to avoid giving, like, this is the exact idea we're thinking about putting into the game. Because players get upset when it doesn't go in. But if you're just interested in, like, what the devs are thinking, what some of their goals are, it's, like, really interesting in why it does a great job of iterating it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Live? Yeah, live. Well, this is live, and also the thing tomorrow's live. I'm not sure which one you're asking about, but
Both.
the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Maybe.
Never
know. There is one thing that we missed when we were talking about the PTR patch last week, and that was legendary gym changes.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so the legendary gyms have been changed rather significantly for the second time, third time, something along those lines. But they're completely redesigning them. They no longer scale infinitely, and I believe that they actually now have their levels capped at level 25. But your chance at getting them upgraded has been, significantly reduced, but their overall power per level has been significantly increased. So they're kind of doing a 180. They're, instead of making it to where, oh yeah, I got a level like every couple rifts that you run, now it's going to be kind of a rarer event. You really have to grind out the levels in order to get it up to 50.
Yeah.
Because like one of the examples that they gave was if you have a rank 1 gym, they start at 0 when you first get it. Is that, like, say you get to Greater Rift 30, there's a 100% chance for success. But say you have a level 31 gym, if you get to Greater Rift level 30, it's only a 15% chance to do it. Or a 30%. And then a level 32 gym is a 15% chance.
But they only go to 25 now, right? Because that was the math maybe. When it was up to 50.
Yeah, no, I guess it is. They are up to 50, and then the secondary bonus is 25. Yeah, sorry, I screwed that whole thing up. I screwed the pooch.
Oh, okay.
The secondary bonus comes in at 25, and the max level is 50.
All right.
Yeah, yes. So it has a capped point at it for your power gains.
And it makes sense. I mean, infinitely progressing systems are hard to implement. And I mean, Paragon works, I think, because they limit where you can put your progression after a certain point, and it, eventually becomes a very long time between one level and the next. But makes sense. It might have caused them some trouble.
Yeah. I think we talked about that one, many episodes ago. Just the infinitely scaling system, how would they do it? How would they keep it from being overpowered? Doesn't really make sense. And so I think they, kind of realized that, and they've had to scale back their expectations. And like the legendary gems are one of those things that they're still like putting heavy iterations on, even though the patch is soon to be coming out. I wouldn't even be surprised to see a 2.1.1, maybe a couple weeks or a month afterwards, just to change gems or readdress them. If since they're this late in, they might be like getting legendary gems to a point where it's good enough. Push the patch. We'll address it later.
Yeah, kind of like we did with Reaper of Souls, I guess. This is kind of like the follow up to the expansion. All the stuff that didn't make it in.
It's the expansion for the expansion.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll have a lot of hot fixes right after the patch. Anytime they're making lots of balance changes and adding new systems, there's going to be things that even the PTR didn't figure out.
Yeah, we'll have to go through and see and find what lovely little exploits and power combos they come up with.
Yeah, exploit them while you can.
Yeah, I think that covers some of the big things. Or I guess one other thing that we didn't cover in episode 19, which was actually in not the last patch, but the patch before that change, that we kind of just completely glossed over. We forgot to talk about it, was the change to the furnace in Rimeheart that I mentioned a little bit earlier in the episode.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically those items just had the same effect Crushing Blow had, deals damage based on enemies' health, or percentage of the enemy's health. So they're super good for enemies with lots of health, and we're letting people clear T6 super fast. And so I think they made good changes. I mean, they had to get rid of that effect, but they let the weapons still keep the same role they had.
So like the furnace used to have a chance of doing 8% of the monster's current health as fire damage. Now it's 40 to 50% increased damage versus elites, which in and of itself is still amazing.
Yeah, it's still useful against the same types of monsters, those with lots of health, but it doesn't have that mechanic that's really easy to exploit and really hard to balance.
And then the other change to Rimeheart, which used to have a chance to kill lesser enemies, pretty much anything that wasn't a boss, a unique, or a champion or an elite pack. It had a chance to, like, I think it was a 10% chance of killing them outright if they took damage while frozen. Now it's if you have a chance that if you attack an enemy that's frozen or chilled, can do like over 9,000% weapon damage.
Yeah. The feedback from the community seemed to be they're not good enough. But no surprise there.
Compared to what they were, yeah, of course it's not going to be good enough. But then the only way that you could actually clear to Greater Rift 100 was to just have everyone stack furnaces and Rimehearts. Nerf those items and then rebalance the higher difficulty. Yeah.
Only way to go. I think they did a good job with the changes.
So
are we ready for items of the week?
I think so. I think that covers like a lot of the big things that have come out this past week.
Yeah, starting next week is going to be crazy because we should have a lot to talk about once 2.1 drops.
Yeah, certainly. Which we hope will be next week's episode. Or
should be.
I guess I almost hope that it isn't next week and that they lied about the August thing. Or we could talk about that later.
Now everyone's wondering why.
Now everyone's wondering why. Now we have your attention.
Why don't you want 2.1 to come out, Nineball?
Well, I will not be here next week. Like I said, the whole move thing, getting into the new place, getting everything situated, and also next Wednesday is my birthday, so I'm not going to be here anyway.
Nineball doesn't want to spend his birthday with you guys, is what he's saying.
I'm sorry. I don't love you all that much, unfortunately. That's the truth. That's the honest truth. Go ahead, unfollow, unsubscribe. Well, I guess it's not my channel, so don't unsubscribe, because it in no way impacts me in any way, shape, or form. We are still going to be having a Westmarch workshop next week, and we will be having a special guest, which I have not seen him. I don't think he's in chat right now, but Leviathan, Steven, who some of you probably will be familiar with. He's done a lot of articles over at Diablo.blizpro.com. He's the site manager for Hearthstone.blizpro.com, and he's also been special guest on Diablo Inc. Gamers podcast with me quite a few times. There he goes by Katniss. Here he goes by Leviathan. On Twitter he goes by Steven. Who knows what it is, or what he wants to be called. But he will be taking my place next week, and actually he will be joining us as a permanent member of the show going forward.
Yeah.
So,
and he is 3 of us talking all the time.
Yes, and he is not here to take part in this discussion in chat or to be congratulated. So, in that respect, everyone make fun of him.
Yeah. Besides to miss this show of all shows.
Yes. So go and make fun of him right now, and get some more jokes ready for him next week when he joins us. So, yeah, make him feel loved and appreciated in the way only the internet can.
A horrible way. Alright, well, we got some items of the week. Let's go ahead and start off with this one from Jacob. It's a super sexy witching hour. It's damn near perfect. Missing 1 intelligence point. But rerolled life percent on there, which could be the best stat based on his current stats. And everything else is perfect. Doesn't get much better than that. Yeah,
it is pretty damn sexy.
But not nearly as sexy as this next piece.
Ooh, is this what I think it is?
Yeah,
Is this what I think it is?
Yeah, start trolling.
Yeah.
So
if you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, unfortunately, you cannot revel in the majesty that is this beautiful Natalia Slayer. Now, we have had some really ridiculous one-handed crossbows, early on in the show. We just kind of stopped showing them because they're all like, this is so good, but when one-handers got buffed, someone went through and found this, and it is just godly. It is a 3.3k, 3,357 damage one-handed Natalia Slayer. The thing is beautiful. They rolled like near perfect damage, plus 10% damage and plus 750 dexterity innately on the bow. So the only thing, it came with a socket, so they just re-rolled the damage on it so they could get a better roll for it. And then it even has life after enemy kill and plus 12 maximum discipline. The thing is just beyond godly. And he says that this obviously is like one of the best one-handed crossbows I have ever seen, and he found another one that was almost exactly like this, only it was only like 3,100 damage, but it also came with a socket and all other types of stuff. It wasn't as good as this. And he has a friend that he plays with that also plays a demon hunter that just was not online at the time when it dropped. And so what did he do with this one that is just slightly below this just magnificent piece of heaven made real? He salvaged it.
Salvage town.
He salvaged it, so it became a
Sad
forgotten
story.
soul. He did not take a screenshot of it, and I think I thank him for that because it didn't actually get the actual stats. So yeah.
No, you can't. Now, could this have also rolled attack speed? Could that damage number even be higher?
It could have, but I think it would have replaced dexterity.
Yeah, wouldn't have been worth it, but yeah, you could have had up to like 3,600 there with enough attack speed.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy to think.
And people in chat are saying it's a bugged item.
A bugged item, huh? This is on the PTR, and they're saying it was bugged in PTR, but yeah, maybe there's something to that. Give us some more information, guys. You give a link or something, we can talk about it.
That kills the love.
The love still exists in my heart.
Yep.
Alright, well, CC123 sent us a few items. He said after 20 runs, he finally got his Hellfire Amulet, and it's a lot better than the one we showed last week, but it's still not too great. Got some strength, armor, 67 crit damage, and a socket. Not the armor, not the amulet you want to wear, for sure. But then he got some amazing Argyle's bracers.
Mm-hmm.
Maximum cold damage, 496 strength, 4 away from perfect. Maximum all res, maximum crit hit chance, and then maximum damage from ranged and melee attacks. About as good as it gets for Argyle's there.
Yeah, and of course everyone loves Argyle's. It's great going through and throwing that 3-piece set bonus on there. So it's something that most people will use as they progress into the higher difficulties. They'll be putting away the Reaper's Wraps and switching over to these. So you cannot ask for something even better.
Yeah, and then I've been asking for this for a while now, but we finally got it. Vine UK, who also stayed up late enough to watch the show today, sent us in a naked picture of, I don't think it's his cat, but it is a naked picture of a cat. If this is your cat, Vine, I'm sorry, because it looks like Ren from Ren and Stimpy.
I think Ren was supposed to be a Chihuahua.
Yeah, this cat could be a Chihuahua for all I know.
That just looks like a pissed off rodent.
Yeah, I'm not. We can take that from the screen now. I guess that's long enough. Alright, so we don't need naked pictures of cats anymore. What we do want is the most awesome picture you can find of a penguin.
Yes. We want penguin pictures.
Yeah, and I think, unless we get some really awesome ones, I think maybe we'll just pick like the coolest penguin picture of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have an awesome item, send that in. If not, find a penguin picture. And we also want your feedback. Whatever you got, send it in to westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com, and we'll look at it at the very least. Maybe we'll force other people to look at it as well. But we also got some feedback this week we can go through. I'll take this first one if you don't mind.
Oh, actually, yeah, we could go through following up from the naked cat picture. We had
good call.
In the same email, we did get some feedback. Going and talking about. It was also from Vine UK talking about the Witch Doctor and the Greater Rifts and how pets are not performing that well at the higher difficulties because of how much damage they do. Particularly, a lot of the AOE attacks are just max hits that you're getting.
Yeah. Good call.
And basically, what he's finding, and when he gets into some of the higher rifts, is that the pets, they're getting killed in just a few hits. That things like mortars and other stuff are just completely destroying all of his pets and just gutting all of his damage because he's spec'd as a pet build. How are you supposed to deal damage if none of your pets are able to stay alive? And I don't know if that is kind of an oversight because they've done a lot to try and buff pet survivability, or if there's something that needs to be done to help pets out survive some of the damage, the obscene levels of damage of the higher rift levels, especially after we're going through and talking about Witch Doctors being in a good place. That this is one of those ones we don't get a lot of feedback, in particular what people are experiencing at the really high rifts. So. And what really sparked his concern is the pet gym that made the pets immortal, and now just reduces the amount of damage that they take. With the new redesign, so he's just hoping that maybe something will be done. That they have to. There's some things or some glaring issues with some of the classes that you don't really notice until you get to that cutting edge. But then they become glaring. And you can't like play the class or the spec that you want. You have to spec into something else.
Yeah, that's been an ongoing problem, I guess, and pet survivability has mostly only gone up since they were introduced, but yeah, I know a lot of people were excited about the Enforcer, and it's too bad it got a serious nerf. Down from originally unkillable, now down to 25% reduced damage. Does seem a little weak to me.
Yeah. Although I guess it's like you have to. I guess their mentality, and they're going through and testing. It's the 25% reduced damage on top of the reduced damage that pets already take from creatures, because they don't take full damage, especially not from AOE effects and such. So that they have a little bit more survivability. Maybe making it something where they inherit a larger bonus from like your stats, your survivability stats, making their HP scale a little bit more with your HP, or making it so that they scale with your resistances. Maybe that'd be something that they could do.
Yeah, that would definitely address it for the higher torments when players are already geared, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. I got an email here from Sean, who has been sympathizing with me a little bit recently, and I'm just going to read his whole email because it was written pretty well.
Oh, this one.
He said, I am currently on my 4th week of not playing any Diablo 3 with my level 250 Fire Wizard Biatch, and I'm not missing it at all. For any of you guys who know, I've also been taking about 3 or 4 weeks off now from Diablo, although I am missing it. He says, I'm catching up on my console gaming with Halo 4, Assassin's Creed, Borderlands, LA Noire. I spent some time on the Pointless Test Realm. I've never heard it called that, but it's good. PTR, Pointless Test Realm. Rolling through some tiered rifts. It was fun for a moment, but then it was quickly like, why am I spending all this time on the Pointless Test Realm? I have nothing to show for it, so blew the dust off his Xbox 360, having fun again. And he says it's good to step away, and he knows he'll hit the patch even harder than a virgin on prom night, but until then it feels good to mash A, B, and X buttons. He says, love the show, peace my brothers. Thank you, Sean.
Well, now he could actually do both with the Ultimate Evil Edition.
There you go. Yeah, mash the buttons and play Diablo.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think Diablo is the kind of game that if you're not feeling the excitement you used to feel for it, stop playing for a few weeks and it'll come back. Just need to take a step away sometimes.
Yep. Continuing on, we had a question sent in by SOE Serpent that he said it was a lore question, but this is more of a trivia question. 9ball, please help me settle a lore dispute between my friend and I. It is my contention that the Tall Man's Finger, the Witch Doctor ring, is a reference to the 1978 movie Phantasm. Angus Scrimm played the Tall Man in all 4 movies, and I believe that his finger is severed in one of the scenes, hence the name. The ring's D3 description makes it even more mention of a phantasm in the bio, and my friend thinks that I've just seen too many movies. I'm a huge fan of the show of you and Archon. You guys do a great job. And I actually had not really seen any of the Phantasm movies, so I did not know the answer to this question. But after going through and reading it, it really looks like it parallels. Because you go through and you read the flavor text that's on the Tall Man's Finger, and it specifically mentions, you know, what happens to the Tall Man. Because in the movie Phantasm, the Tall Man was like a mortician that he invented a gateway that allowed him to travel to other dimensions or other times. And he was just a quiet, unassuming guy. He walks through, and he's changed permanently. And he becomes like this horrific person that's going and can mind control people and turns them into zombies and stealing people's brains and all other types of stuff. And then the description is this finger was severed from the hand of an Umbaru priest who crossed over into the unformed land in search of knowledge and came back changed. You know, so it sounds exactly like it. But because I didn't know whether this was an actual reference or not, you know, I went through and asked, you know, some of the CMs, and the answer that I got back actually was the item itself is named after one of the developers. There's someone on the team that it was a direct quote from, not a direct quote from, but it's a direct reference to Josh Tallman, one of the artists for D3.
Yeah.
And from there, I'm sure that little thing, it was an homage to him. The flavor text makes me think that they obviously, even though they named the item after one of the D3 devs, the flavor text was just like, oh, we got to throw in a reference to Phantasm.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's you probably do watch too many movies, but yeah, I don't know who wins the bet there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know. The answer is like both yes and no. Though I guess the actual thing is that the item itself was directly created in reference to one of the developers and not after the movies.
Yeah. Touche. Well, we got quite a long email from Victor, who is from French Polynesia. And he pretty much explains his thoughts on the changes since Vanilla Diablo. Says he understands the change from the auction house, but he misses how much it encouraged to play with friends. He talked about how it's interesting that they added automatic pickup on potions when you now have bottomless potions and don't need potions anyway. And he says that he thinks the wizard needs some love because he misses playing CM and Archon, and now it's broken in his opinion, and it's just not to the level that witch doctors are at, which he believes are the best class right now. He gives some reasons, but yeah, I think a lot of people could agree witch doctors are looking pretty sexy right now. And yeah, he's collecting his Marauder set, so I guess he's playing Demon Hunter, and yeah, that's about it. So thanks for your thoughts there, Victor.
The next one that I take is actually from Minerva DH. She sent us some feedback. She actually recently had an article posted on Diablo.BlizzPro for a video she made that kind of was a guide to Whimsyshire. Everything that you needed to know, how to unlock it, how to get in there, as well as the special items that can only drop within Whimsyshire. If you didn't know where to get the Spectrum or the Project Hamburger, you should probably go and check that out. But one of the other things that she suggested is just kind of like a she wanted to suggest something that we could do on the show, or just maybe something that we could do periodically. But it's a Diablo 3 trivia contest. You have the devs or the CMs versus the players, maybe some community members or streamers, and just have them go at it, whether it's lore questions or name this skill, what does like this, where does this checkpoint come in, or what does this item do, what is this combination, or even some things from Diablo 2 or Diablo 1, and kind of have it like a little game show thing, which I thought was kind of a cool suggestion. I don't know if we'll ever be able to do that, but yeah, definitely forward that through and see what can happen.
That's a cool idea. I think players always like it when they see like a player stump one of the creators of the game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think of Red Shirt Kid. And
Yeah.
BlizzCon.
Red shirt guy.
Yeah. Well, we talked earlier about Blizzard putting in references in games, and it seems like we might have a cool one coming up. Wildcat Kelly, who always watches the show live, sent us in this link to a change.org petition. They're trying to get Blizzard to add a Robin Williams inspired character to World of Warcraft, I believe. Or maybe just any game. I can't. Was it specifically to World of Warcraft?
I believe it specifically is going to be in PC in World of Warcraft.
And so yeah, Blizzard's response was, "We're taking care of it." So yeah, it looks like, I don't know if it was because of the petition, if they already plan on doing that, but either way, yeah, it's pretty cool. I think he deserves a tribute.
Yeah, a way that he can stay close to your character's heart, or some way. You can always go through and visit him. Now, the only sad thing is that they're not going to be able to have him do the voiceover.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Imagine a character voiced by Robin Williams in World of Warcraft.
Yeah, but there's lots of good impersonators. I don't know if you ever saw the Aladdin show, Aladdin TV show.
I never did.
Oh, not as big of a Disney nerd as I am. Yeah, they had Genie on there. Sounded pretty legit, but yeah, can't get Robin Williams for a little TV show.
Yeah, even though that's where he started.
Oh, and Wildcat Kelly said that Robin Williams played World of Warcraft?
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. He was actually a big gamer. For those of you that don't know much about like Robin Williams' personal life and just know him as the actor, I mean, his daughter's name is Zelda.
Wow.
And it is directly named after what you think it is. He actually was, pretty into video games. So, he was so much so that he named his first daughter after, Zelda. So there you go.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Next thing that we had actually came from Nick. He wanted to try and get some more information on the PS3 version of Diablo 3. That I guess he went through and he blew the dust off and he wanted to get more prepared for the Ultimate Evil Edition. And his question was, how do you unlock torment difficulty in the PS3 version of Diablo 3? There is no torment difficulty in the PS3 version until you get the Ultimate Evil Edition.
Yeah, Master is the torment.
Yes, and so you can get the game to Inferno, and then you can upgrade the game to or the difficulty slider to Master 6, because the little sliding difficulty is basically what Torment is on the PC version. So it sounds like he's never actually played the PC version; he only has it for the console. That's just like one of those little changes that they added in between the console version and Reaper of Souls. So that's why you're not finding it. It's not there. If you get the Ultimate Evil Edition, though, you are going to find it, and that's when you'll get Torment difficulty, and that just starts unlocked. You can go through and scale it. You're not going to be beating the game if you start from level 1 on Torment 6, but you can definitely give it a shot.
Yeah, there you go. We got an email from Robert, and I didn't pull up the screenshot here because there was just a lot of images, but basically Robert decided to see how much toughness he could get on his monk, and I believe it was a monk, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
And yeah, he got up to 71 million toughness unbuffed.
Yeah, not the highest that we've seen on the show.
No, but most of the images we've gotten were buffed toughness, right? Yeah, how much did we got like 300 or 400 million sent into us a while back.
So yeah, there was someone that had, like, without buffs or anything like that, was just sitting at like 150 million, I believe. And then with buffs, they went, obscene, like 400, 500, like a billion, something, 900 million.
That's crazy.
I don't know. I'm making up numbers at this point.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, all the toughness stats multiply each other, and so you stack enough of it, and it's gonna go out. It's gonna get pretty crazy. but it does make sense to stack toughness for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. That's what the whole ZTPS builds were for monks. You just stack up a ton of toughness, and then you put exploding palm on everything, let your party kill them, and you do damage via that way. Which obviously they've gutted with the nerf to exploding palm, but can't do that anymore. Can't do that. No. That 71 million toughness and the 200,000 damage, unfortunately, will no longer carry you.
No. Yeah, same thing with when Crushing Blow was in for the brief period of time. It made a lot of sense to stack toughness and then forego damage and let your Crushing Blow do the damage instead. And that's why we can't have nice things.
Yep. Unfortunately. I'm sorry. Not allowed.
No. I was going to mention we got Ian's email about a possible intro. And thanks for the idea. I like that. If anyone else has ideas for intros, like, I can't say we'll do them, but we're always racking our brain trying to come up with ideas. So feel free to send them.
Next week you should make Steven do the intro.
Yeah, like it's kind of like an initiation.
Yeah, and we won't tell him about it, even though I know he listens to the podcast. He's not here tonight, but he's gonna go through, and I'm gonna get I've got to get the email on Saturday. It's like, what do you mean I got to do the intro?
I like it. I think that should just be a thing. Like anytime we have a guest on the show, they have to do the intro.
Yeah, exactly.
Just so we can be a little lazier, I guess.
It's what we will do. It's what we will have to do. And exactly, it's not for making fun of them or putting them on the spot. It's because we're lazy and we don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's good enough for me. Well, I think that was all the emails.
Yeah.
Which means that brings our show to a close.
Sadly. Just trying to think. There was something else that I completely forgot to make a note of it, and now I can't think of what it is. There was a little community thing that I saw that I wanted to talk about, but I've forgotten what it was. So maybe next week.
Next week it is.
Yeah. I love seeing ideas and stuff that people come up with, and but sometimes people put together like a spreadsheet or like links to all different types of information for a particular class and such. I always keep an eye out for that. And I'd like to throw props out there when they do happen, but I can't find. I don't remember what it was. I forgot to bookmark it. Now I can't find it.
All right. Well, we'll be sure to give them a shout out next week. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Westmarch Workshop. Now up to 20 episodes already. I can't believe that.
Yeah. The big 2-0.
Be sure to tune in. What? It's always what?
It's almost been half a year.
Yeah. 26 will be half a year. That's pretty crazy. Be sure to tune in every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/ArchonTheWizard. Tweet us at ArchonTheWizard and at 9ballgamer. Send us in your feedback at WestmarchWorkshop at BluesPro.com. And also find us on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and the like.
And until next week, everybody, have fun and kill demons.
Kill them hard.
Oh, so hard. Giggity.